I have to confess that I came down to Abuja with a lot of emotions and regrets because of this invitation. But on the second thought, members of the Senate Committee on Aviation are our customers, and they have every right to be scared if they feel safety has become an issue. They have every right. I said I was not going to come before that Mrs. Toyon Lajide should go, because inside me was revolting, I have to confess. I always speak my mind. But as early as 5 a.m., I remember that these people are our customers. What if they are genuinely concerned about the safety of the industry? Why not go and honor this? Hence, I quickly got up and got to Abuja. Please forgive me. I'm human. I am very human. Though the AON has pointed something out, if that thing on the board has read investigative hearing on airport runway excursions, I wouldn't have minded. This year alone, we have Nigerian Airlines that have even had worse. The aircraft in question, I have to correct one impression here, because when the DG was talking, those who are outside aviation may not understand what he was saying about making sure the aircraft was airworthy. Those outside aviation might think that maybe it was the fault of the aircraft, or maybe the aircraft went bad. No. Normally when these things happen, you must ground the aircraft in question. Even if it's a tire burst, you must do that. I want to correct that, because the aircraft in question has no problem. No damage to that aircraft, not even a single one. The aircraft flew back to Lagos. The aircraft had no damage on it. What happened was human error, as we say. The pilot in question has flown for almost 40 years. He's an experienced pilot. He had a bad day. The pilot in question has flown for almost 40 years, very experienced pilot. But on that day, he didn't listen to his co-pilot, who advised him, please don't land, I think we are very close. And that was what happened. But I don't want to go into details, because the NSIB has not finished with its report. So myself as an aviator, I cannot stand here and diverging or preempting what they're going to do. It is not allowed in aviation. And Airpeace flies the flag of this country internationally. So we should be wary what we are doing. If I say it here, and what we are doing now, the international community is watching. At the end of the day, they'll flag us, because we have impugned the integrity of the NSIB report. We have to be careful. We have to say this. I think, with due respect, sir, that maybe this could have come much later. Or maybe, if we had coined it in another way, investigating airport runway excursions in Nigeria, not putting it on Airpeace, when I can count all the airlines, even this year, even last year, even 2023. So why now picking on Airpeace alone and say it was an investigation on Airpeace? That is where we missed it. And if, sorry sir, we do respect SARS, this airline has come under serious attacks from Nigerians, not even from outsiders. So please, sirs, if in this case, when there are airlines before us, that had these issues and they were not mentioned, and it's being made to be an Airpeace issue, don't you think that Airpeace will feel targeted? That is an honest feeling by any human being. So we will submit to everything, but what I'm pleading is this: let us change the title. Let it be, see, you are our customers, you have every right to feel insecure, but I want to assure everybody here about one thing. Airpeace is one of the safest airlines in the world, I'm not talking about Nigeria. The DGNCA seated here will tell you that Airpeace does self-regulation. Even abroad, most airlines hide things. Airpeace in one day reported to the NCAA that one of our aircraft, an ERJ, this 50-seater plane, the person in charge of maintenance planning on that particular aircraft made a mistake and they didn't report it. Immediately I heard it that I called NCAA. I said something has happened in Airpeace and I won't condone it. All I need is permit me to ground the aircraft. I grounded 8 planes in one day. Mr. Chairman, please, it's very important. I grounded 8 planes in one day just because I got information that the maintenance planner made a mistake on one of those kind of aircraft. And because he was one in the maintenance planning of that kind of aircraft, I assumed that the best thing to do was to ground all the planes in that fleet. I called NCAA. We could have hidden it. We could have taken our time to be correct, to do business. No. I called NCAA. I said something happened in Airpeace now. And I want to ground 8 aircraft of that type. We grounded them. Grounding means the ones in Ivory Coast, the ones in Lagos, the ones everywhere, we are stopped from flying. Passengers disembarked. No, sir. What I'm saying is speaking on Airpeace, putting it on that is Airpeace. Let it be the entire industry, and people will understand. But when you put the name of one airline in the face of other airlines who have the same problem, then what are we talking about? Thank you.
I said the mandate we have is not about the incident that happened 2, 3, 5 years ago. We all know there are a lot of runway overshoot. No doubt about that.
No, so what happened this year?
But now, if you are not saying the incident that happened on 13 July was what prompted this thing, and that was even if you look at the NSIP report, they didn't say United. They didn't say so. They didn't say that they mentioned.
Sir, there were reports on those other airlines too.
No, the one they gave was.
And the truth is that the NSIB report, if we take into consideration that particular report, the NCAA has also taken those crew to. They've taken those. Sorry, sir. Why are they not allowing me? Why me not being allowed? They've taken the same crew to. Sorry, sir, Mr. President. They took the same crew to the aeromedical center that is supposed to do that, not where they took it to, and they proved negative.
The chairman of the committee has already told you that we are going into executive session. There are things that we don't want, not like you are being conscious of the history of this country. We are also equally concerned. So you are talking too much. So far, that
I'm not talking too much.
Don't put your case yourself by being too emotional.
No, sir, thank you, sir, but I'm not being emotional. So I'm just setting the facts correct. I'm just setting the facts correct. Like I said, if the problem, if it is about the industry, let us talk about the industry. I'm not about Airpeace. Thank you.
But number one thing, we are not here to destroy our business. That is one of the reasons why our colleagues are a bit impatient. Just 4 days ago, there was a bill on the floor of the same Senate that they should make it mandatory for every government agent traveling to London to patronize Airpeace. But if you are going on your personal thing, you can fly anything you want to fly. That is not how we've been given money. If you are going, I will give you the copy of it. So it has nothing to do with you. It's still a personal thing. But Nigerians are much important to us than anybody. And what you see over there, that's how it should be written. Because the incident that happened was on 13 July. That was the mandate this committee was given. And that is the reason why we even call you. Come and explain. You can even see before you say anything. We told them, you didn't send up. We said even from the findings, from the preliminary thing they are saying, there's a lot of contradiction. Even here, they don't know senators who read it. If you submit your document, who read it and will pick it up. You didn't send up that. You didn't send up. And when your colleague, by Mr. Koko United Airline came and was talking, he explained very well. You need a lot of patience. Let me remind you something. This is the first time my colleagues will be hearing me. There was a day when in a conference with you, and you accused the senator. The senator was beating somebody. That's how senator beat people. I disagreed with you that day. I wasn't emotional. When in Lagos, those of them that were there, Madam, they were laughing. No. When in Lagos with you, and you said a senator beat one of your staff, and then you didn't have a video. I allowed you to talk. I was a senator. I didn't beat anybody. And I stood up that day and I challenged you. I said, Mr. Onyeama, it is not true. There are a lot of people that you see that say, I'm senator. No, I'm just explaining because the truth of the matter like it's emotional. So we are here to protect you.
Not that emotional.
No,
I was telling you that I stopped when I saw people going to make that.
we will not come here to destroy Nigerian business.
I stopped that application when I saw it. I didn't think I would be able to do that.
Let me state it very clearly. Airlines that come to we are not singling one airline for execution. No. What we want is how we improve the safety and security of our airline. What are those issues that can make our airline free to land in Nigeria? Is it the weather? Is it the airport itself, the way it is constructed? Is it human error or something about? Or is it the aircraft itself that is not in good condition? These are the issues we have discussed. It affects Airpeace, it affects British Airways, it affects all the airlines, KLM, all airlines. We are not figuring out one airline for discussion. No, the Senate or the Federal Republic of Nigeria is above that. Yes. Don't believe us. So, with this full remark, Mr. Chairman, I think I would suggest that we go to the executive session to discuss this report exhaustively.
Thank you very much, Excellency.
Hearing on the need to strengthen aviation safety following the NSIB report on the Airpeace runway overrun incident at Port Harcourt International Airport. It is my honor to join you at this investigative hearing convened by the Senate Committee on Aviation in furtherance of the resolution of the Senate on the Airpeace runway overrun incident at the Port Harcourt International Airport. Though the incident thankfully recorded no loss of life, it serves as a sober reminder that aviation safety demands constant vigilance, accountability, and institutional collaboration. The Senate, under my leadership, will not wait for tragedy to compel reform. We are here to ensure that our skies remain safe, our systems responsive, and our people protected. I commend the chairman and members of the Senate Committee on Aviation, led by distinguished Senator Buhari Abdul Fatai, for this commitment and foresight in bringing this matter to the front burner. I also appreciate the Honorable Minister, heads of agencies, and industry stakeholders for their cooperation. This hearing is not to apportion blames, but to strengthen trust and systems that would guarantee safety and operational excellence across our airports. As we deliberate today, Let us approach this assignment with candor and patriotism. The Senate will give due attention to the recommendations arising from this process to ensure that our laws, institutions, and infrastructure meet the highest standards of aviation safety and global best practices. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege, therefore, to declare this investigative hearing on the need to strengthen aviation safety following the NSIB report on the Airpeace runway overrun incident at Port Harcourt International Airport open. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you all.
But to make what is called corrective measure. So we are appealing to everybody here with open mind. Say whatever you want to say. People will listen, will address it, will take it up, and to rebuild the confidence in Nigerians. You know, we have reached a stage now that everybody wants to patronize Nigerian product. And we give kudos to some of the airlines owners who have started operating coastal route, west coast, and international route. The only thing remaining is that we should be able to build the confidence in Nigeria, in the public, for them to appreciate that, look, if they can do it, we can do it better. And then the incident that happened at the last time, we received a lot of petition, and there was a preliminary report from NSIB, and we have another report from NCAA, and of course the public too. Were sending us petition left and right. So when the Senate now decide that we should take it up, find out, make a correction, guide the airline, and then where it is necessary, we amend the law to suit the yearning of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Mr. Festus Keyamo. And he says that distinguished chairman and members of Senate Committee on Aviation, the following is a submission of the Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development to the investigative hearing on the need to strengthen aviation safety following the serious incident involving a Boeing 737 aircraft with nationality and registration marks 5N/BQQ, operated by none other than our own famous Airpeace Limited, which occurred at the Port Harcourt International Airport on 13th July 2025. Distinguished senators, the ministry humbly wishes to remind our distinguished senators that the Nigerian Safety and Investigation Bureau, NSIB, has only released a preliminary report, implying that this occurrence is still under investigation. In order to preserve the independence and integrity of the investigation before the international community, the ministry wishes to kindly, I emphasize here, sir, ministry wishes to kindly appeal that this investigative hearing not request that pertinent facts that could influence the final outcome of the investigation be divulged. At this juncture, I want to further reiterate the comments by the Senate President a while ago, where he says, and I quote, "This hearing is not to apportion blame, but to institute corrective measures and to restore confidence of Nigerians. No more, no less." Let me give a brief overview of the Ministry of Aviation so that we'll have a clear context of how the system operates. The Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development is responsible for the formulation and management of civil aviation policies, oversees air transportation,
airport development, maintenance, provision of aviation infrastructural services and aviation security, improvement of airspace management, meteorological services, aviation human capital development, and other needs for the overall development of the aviation industry in our dear country, Nigeria. The ministry oversees the following agencies, 7 of them. 1, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, which is the main regulatory body that oversees the activities of all the other agencies. Next is the Nigerian Safety and Investigation Bureau, who is responsible for investigating any form of accidents in both land, air, and sea with their new act. Next is the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, which of course is established by the NAMA Establishment Act of 2022, with full responsibility to manage the navigation services over the Nigerian airspace. Next is, of course, the one that we know all, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN. And of course, I do not need to tell us what the function of FAN is. All of us have used the airports. Next is the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, who actually is responsible for provision of meteorological services, not just to the aviation sector, but to health, agriculture, and many other key strategic sectors in our dear country and beyond. Next is the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology Zaria, a famous school that was established as far back as 1963. And then finally is the latest baby in our house, the African Aviation and Aerospace University, which we call AAAU. Distinguished Senators, sir, let me give us a brief safety oversight framework and update on the implementation of the safety recommendations thus far. The ministry, recognizing that Nigeria is a signatory to the 1964 Chicago Convention of the International Civil Aviation Authority, ICAO, has ensured that Nigeria's safety oversight framework strictly follows the dictates laid out in ICAO document 9734. Mr. Chairman, sir, I have attached appendices to this presentation, which I will share with you later, sir. In order to preserve the integrity of Nigeria's aviation safety oversight, as prescribed by ICAO, the ministry allows both the regulatory agency, in this case the NCAA, and indeed the Accident and Investigation Agency, in this case the NSIB, to operate autonomously without any form of interference by the ministry. This indeed is the law. This implies that the NSIB investigates serious incidents or accidents and issues safety recommendations targeted at preventing the occurrence of same in a non-punitive manner and without apportioning blame. The key words here, non-punitive, and giving recommendations to prevent future occurrence. Their investigators are well trained to independently, Mr. Chairman, sir, to independently and objectively arrive at the causal and contributory factors of these occurrences without apportioning blame or any form of liability. The ethos of the profession requires that their reports ensure that persons involved are anonymous and indeed de-identified. As a regulator, the NCAA in this case enforces the regulations and all accepted safety recommendations issued by the NSIB. A team consisting of both the NCAA and NSIB meets regularly to assess the level of implementation of these safety recommendations. In the preliminary report released by the NSIB on the Airpeace incident under consideration, the 2 safety recommendations addressed to the management of Airpeace Airlines were issued. In this case, assessment of implementation of these safety recommendations will be carried out by the State Safety Program Team of the NCAA. Mr. Chairman, let me just draw our attention to some policy frameworks of this industry. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Policy, NCAP, of 2023 has been the primary policy framework used by the ministry to drive the industry. Part 4 of the NCAP 2023 addresses safety and security policies, covering a wide range of issues such as the following. Mr. Chairman, I'm laying a background to the subsequent presentations to see how the ministry oversees this and how we carry out these activities to the benefit of Nigerians and to the entire world. These laws include the Aviation Safety Regulation and Oversight, the Safety Management, Accident and Investigation Prevention, and Communication, Navigation, and Surveillance. Also look at aviation security, airport security management, and finally, the airlines and operators security management. These comprehensively lay out policy guidelines, objectives, and strategies to be followed by the different agencies, airlines, and other operators within the aviation industry. The ministry has currently embarked upon an exercise to evaluate the implementation of these safety and security policies across the industry. Mr. Chairman, sir, the ministry has embarked on some few interventions which we want to share with us today. Upon appointment of my principal, Festus Keyamo, he laid out his strategic vision for reshaping the aviation industry in Nigeria by outlining 5 key areas. 5 key areas, namely, 1, ensure strict compliance with safety. Sir, the first word is safety. Ensure strict compliance with safety regulations and continuous upward improvement of Nigeria's rating by the International Civil Aviation Authority, ICAO. 2, support the growth and sustenance of local airlines in their businesses while holding them to the highest international standards in the aviation industry. Nigeria cannot tolerate second fiddle in the industry. We are very strict on that. Next is improvement of the infrastructure in the aviation industry. Number 4 is development of human capacity within the aviation industry. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, is optimizing revenue generation for our country. Safety and security are the foundation upon which the aviation industry thrives, and only strict compliance with the regulations can assure safety and security. This is why the first focus area of the ministry is to ensure strict compliance with the regulations. To cite a valid example of how the ministry has approached the issue of strict compliance with safety regulations, on the watch of the current Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority suspended the Air Operator Certificate of Dana Airlines. This was an airline which, apart from suffering from a crash that occurred on June 3, 2012, with a total of 159 fatalities, the airline continued to have poor safety records. The ministry had no option than to accept the report of the NCAA to withdraw her license. Mr. Chairman, the Ministry of Aviation would not think twice once a recommendation comes from NCAA to withdraw any license. Closely related to this is the second focus area, which emphasizes on the need to improve infrastructure, attributes which qualifies Nigeria to retain its Part 2 membership of the ICAO Council in the recently concluded General Assembly at Montreal, Canada on the 27th of September 2025. Infrastructure is the bedrock of safety, Mr. Chair. The ministry is pursuing an aggressive drive in this area of seeking presidential intervention to augment budgetary allocations. We thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving us all the support anytime we come to the National Assembly. You are aware that Mr. President graciously approved the funding of the rehabilitation of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, as well as other airports in the country, under the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We say thank you, Mr. President. In addition, following requests from the ministry, Mr. President also graciously approved the release of intervention funds from the service-wide vote to fund various projects, particularly in the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency and the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, to help improve communication, navigation, surveillance, and meteorological equipment across Nigeria. The release of these funds is still being pursued with the Ministry of Finance, and the indication is very, very green. Recognizing the human factor as the weakest but most critical link in the safety chain, the ministry has also focused on human capacity development. The ministry continues to facilitate the training and retraining of professionals across all our agencies. Here also, we thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir, for constantly supporting us in this venture. As I conclude, Mr. Chairman, distinguished senators, the Federal Ministry of Aviation and Aerospace Development remains committed to facilitating the rapid growth of the aviation industry in Nigeria within the framework of existing safety and security policies and regulations. The ministry has its agencies look forward to continuing engaging with the Senate Committee on Aviation and indeed all the stakeholders in aviation to continue to have the safe skies in our country and beyond. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the opportunity, and all our heads of agencies are here and ready to respond to any question as it were. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Anything, if it's letting the aircraft before they leave, is number one priority. It's at the back of our mind. And if you look at the record all over the world, most accident aircraft, majority, over 90% are human error. But 10% is really the even a pilot will tell you it's safer out there. Those of us who are not pilots and know it's lying, it's not safer out there. So, having said this, is that we want NSID to tell us the preliminary report they gave, which led to the by motion and discussion on the floor, and which led to the investigative hearing in the first instance. So we want your DG and NSIB to come and talk to us. When we finish, we'll call the SCA. Then we'll not give the room to the airline, the pilot, that the pilot is sick from his doctor. We can excuse him if he's sick. Right? The others are here, and then probably looking at swapping the chairman of Airpeace, the sales, and I can see the chairman of Airline Association through here, so that every other airline will be able to do a thorough job and assure Nigeria that we are not just for frivolous and it's not very matter to adjust, and then where everything goes wrong, our police are here, they are ready to talk, they are ready to ask questions, they are representing people so that they will be able to go back home to yes, all these things you guys are saying, you got the investigation, this is true, this has been done, this can be corrected, this has been done, that is just so. So, LSIB and the top, please come and join force on the preliminary report.
Which convened an investigative hearing concerning the Airpeace runway excursion incident at Port Harcourt International Airport. This presentation provides a concise and factual overview of the incident sequence, preliminary findings, crew performance analysis, and resultant safety recommendations drawn from the NSIB's ongoing investigation into the serious incident involving Airpeace Limited 737 aircraft with registration 5 November, Bravo, Quebec. To enhance the robustness of this analysis, the presentation incorporates references to analogous incidents globally alongside relevant mitigation measures under the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations, ICAO standards, and exemplary protocols such as the human intervention motivation studies employed by US carriers. Summary of the Airpeace runway excursion at Port Harcourt International Airport. The flight history, and this is all drawn from the preliminary investigation. On 13 July 2025 at approximately 6:45 local time, a Boeing 737-524 aircraft of registration 5 November Bravo Quebec, operated by Airpeace Limited, departed Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos as a scheduled flight Alpha Papa Kilo 7190 bound for the Port Harcourt International Airport, Rivers State. The flight operated under instrument flight rules with 103 persons on board, including 2 flight deck crew and 5 cabin crew members. The endurance was rated at 3 hours. The captain served as the pilot flying, while the first officer pilot monitoring. At 0710, approach control issued clearance to Alpha Papa Kilo 7190 for the Papa Oscar Tango Airway, climbing to flight level 310 with instructions for radar vectors to the instrument landing system approach for runway 21 and the QNH setting of 1015 hectopascal. The crew acknowledged the clearance and requested current weather information, which reported surface wind calm, visibility 7 miles, clouds broken at 210 meters, temperature in 2.23 and 22 degrees Celsius, QNH 1015 hectopascal, with a trend reporting a temporary reduction to 5,000 meters in mist. The flight proceeded without anomaly during descent. Subsequent clearances directed descent to flight level 050, followed by 2,400 feet for the ILS approach to runway 21, with QNH updated to 1016 hectopascals. The final approach and landing sequence. Per the captain's account, and I quote, on final approach, the aircraft was stable on the ILS for runway 21 at 1,000 feet above ground level. Autopilot was disengaged at 500 feet. At 400 feet, the glide path indication displayed fly down. By the time this was noted, the threshold was crossed at approximately 200 feet AGL. The first officer called for a go-around, but I assessed that a safe landing remained feasible and elected to continue, end quote. The aircraft crossed the runway threshold at roughly 200 feet above ground level, resulting in a touchdown 2,264 meters from the threshold. The runway 21 length is 3,000 meters. The landing roll extended an additional 954 meters, culminating in a full stop 209 meters beyond the end of the runway. All 103 occupants evacuated without injury. No post-fire impact ensued. The incident transpired at 0746 local time in daylight conditions. Toxicological examination. Post-incident tox screening of the flight crew was performed by the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Rumuibo, and certified by the Rivers State Health Management Board, Department of Medical Laboratory Services in Port Harcourt on July 13th, 2025. These tests aim to identify any physiological or biochemical impairments that could potentially affect operational performance. Results indicated captain and first officer positive for ethyl glucuronide, ETG, a biomarker of recent alcohol ingestion. Captain additionally positive for cotinine, which is a nicotine metabolite, and one.
We are interested in how you go to this your report, 3.3, captain and first officer positive, captain and additional blah blah blah. Just on the page 2. That's what it is. Then he was a synopsis, and then we already have it as well. And then what don't you know? That's just so good. That's what they are.
Distinguished, please permit me. It would be unfair to the investigation and the crew involved in this if I don't. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, again, distinguished, just out, which was the results, and I stated how we got the results. We're not doctors. We just state the facts as we see them in a preliminary investigation, and the final will address all this thoroughly when we get to that. Yes, sir. Investigation, and everything will be wrapped up in the final investigation. Investigation is still ongoing. Again, I like to contextualize, just because, like you said, you use the word allegation, and like we said, this is a no-blame investigation. We don't recommend any punitive measures for anybody. We're just here for correction. And I can, since you have my report, we've contextualized and compared with other incidents and accidents that have occurred in other parts of the world. And with regards to your request to the NSIB, you did ask for a summary of psychoactive substance test outcomes in our investigations from 2020 to 2025. It's not in there, but in response to your request, in 2022, there was a ground collision incident at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, and tox tests were performed on the operating crew. The captain on that flight tested positive for morphine, opiates, and marijuana, or THC and cotinine, and of course with the recent one. Now, what I'll just wrap up with here is, again, these are not, we're not here to pass judgment, and this is just because the report says this. It's not a moral failing for an aviator or anybody. This was an accident, and all around the world this happens routinely. Flight crew test positive for substances, and it's not a big deal. There are always programs, even with the NCAA, there are policies behind this for routine testing or retesting, and every pilot gets his license back and goes on to fly safely all around the world. Again, ICAO Annex 1 and the Doc 9654, the Manual on Prevention of Problematic Use of Substances in the Aviation Workplace, will mandate testing for flight crew that go through this. Again, with the Human Intervention Motivational Study Protocol utilized by the US carriers, the FAA, and airline pilots as well. Since that started, over 6,600 pilots who have tested positive for substance abuse have returned back to flying, to active flying status. And over 15 years, there's only been a 1% long-term failure rates. So again, the NSIB is not here to pass judgment. And again, this is not a moral failing on anybody, sir. Yes, sir.
I read this synopsis. It's easier for it will make this easier. Most of us have jotted down some few things, but they will ask questions. But like I said, 2024, 2022, or 2019, it's not an issue. The immediate incident that happened on 13 is the issue that led to that. That's what we want to do. And then like we said earlier, we are not here to blame anybody. We just want to make clarity and clarification. Even when you think your information from anymore, and then we call the airline because they are also here to defend themselves, to defend their reputation, to defend their airline. That's the issue. And we confidence in Nigeria. When somebody tested tomorrow, you are not in the meeting where you didn't talk. I'm not the chairman and that's not the concern. That's the truth. So address this issue. This issue with the list of synopsis. That's all. Go straight to you. Please, just give me this one. Just
for his release of preliminary reports. The NSIB does not consult before releasing preliminary investigations. We only consult for final investigations. Thank you. Thank you.
I stand, permit me to stand on the existing protocol. The DG NSIB has, of course, said all what has happened. I'm just not going to repeat everything. I'm just going to go straight to the immediate actions of what the NCA did. After the occurrence, the authority deployed its safety mechanism and immediately grounded the affected aircraft, suspending its certificate of airworthiness. Pending the release by the NSIB, the NCA directed the operator to conduct a full airworthiness and maintenance inspection to be supervised by it and recertify airworthiness to ensure that an airworthy aircraft is not deployed into operation. Furthermore, in accordance with safety management requirements of the authority, Airpeace Nigeria Limited was required to conduct an internal safety investigation of the occurrence and thereafter submit its report to the authority, detailing the root causes, contributory and causal factors, and plan implemented corrective actions. The authority, through its critical element 8 on surveillance obligation, mandated the conduct of an immediate special safety audit of Airpeace flight operations, crew training, maintenance documentation, to ensure continuous compliances with eligibility requirements. Also, the authority emphasized to all air operator certificate holders the necessity to strictly adhere to stabilized approach and landing criteria. The authority directed the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, to carry out a mandatory runway friction testing and inspection of the runway at the Jeremiah Port Harcourt. So what we did, medium to long-term safety enhancement measures, because when things like this happen, we have to put measures in place. NCA safety oversight mechanism is designed around 8 critical elements of an effective aviation safety oversight system as prescribed by ICAO. As part of the medium-term safety enhancement, the authority is inaugurating national operating safety teams that will, of course, strengthen the runway safety team in line with ICAO document 9870 to monitor and mitigate runway safety risk. On training and capacity building, the authority, let me not go to all that one because we're doing a lot so that I don't waste the time. As part of the State Safety Program, SSP, the authority together with NSIB will be implementing an advanced data analysis for safety data collected through its safety data collection, monitoring processes, and analysis processes in order to identify precursors to runway events and address same to prevent incident and accident. The authority will continue to ensure compliance of applicable provisions on Nigerian CARs Part 8, 9, and 12 by service providers with non-compliance are observed, apply appropriate enforcement procedures. Now, with stakeholders collaboration, the NCA is actively collaborating with NSIB for establishment and maintenance of the SSP, including coordination during occurrence, investigation, review of draft final reports, and proving the necessary comments, prompt implementation of safety recommendation. We collaborate with FAN on infrastructure and runway surface management, adequacy of aerodrome firefighting and rescue services, etc. We collaborate with NAMA to improve air traffic control coordination during adverse weather and to ensure that ATC ATM personnel should assist air crews in meeting stabilized approach criteria. Aircraft operators to promote voluntary safety reporting and strengthen safety management system. Ensure that they define, publish, and train their crew on the elements of a stabilized approach, that flight crews should recognize that fast and high on approach, high on threshold, and fast and long, hard touchdowns, major factors leading to landing excursions. Operators to develop and implement policies to detect a go-around if an approach does not meet the stabilized approach criteria. Implement and support no-fault go-around policies and conduct training for their personnel to reinforce these policies. What are we expecting in this outcome? After the implementation of the short, medium, long-term processes, authority expects that there will be a reduction in runway excursion and excursion incidents. There will be improved runway condition and operational safety indices. They will strengthen safety culture among Nigerian air operators and enhance passenger confidence in the Nigerian aviation system. In conclusion, I want to state that the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority remains fully committed to upholding the highest standards of aviation safety. I, as the Director General, will ensure that the authority will continue to enforce regulatory compliance, enhance collaboration with stakeholders, and ensure full alignment with ICAO standards and recommended practices. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Our colleague will soon ask you a question based on this submission.
And the Ministry of Aviation and others here present. I will also try and make this very brief. I won't spend too much time talking about the incidents of that particular day because that has been given by both of my colleagues, the Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, as well as the DG of NSIB. I will just speak briefly to our role on that day. I hope that helps. Okay, in terms of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, as mentioned, we're responsible for making sure that the airport environment is safe, secure, and efficient, of course in accordance with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulation and the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is ICAO. On that particular day, July 13th, the Port Harcourt International Emergency Response Team responded immediately to the incident. The incident report from that team indicated that the aircraft, the Boeing 737-524, again with registration marks 5 November, BQQ, departed on the scheduled flight from Murtala Mohammed International Airport at 065 hours, and at about 0746, the aircraft touched down approximately 2,264 meters from the runway threshold of 3,000 meter runway on runway 021, thereby overshooting the runway. The Port Harcourt International Airport Emergency Response Team responded promptly within the required response time, so that's the FAN team, within the required response time of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There were no reported injury to the 96 passengers and the 7 crew members who were on board. Also, all passengers and crew were safely evacuated to the terminal building. The runway was temporarily closed in line with our safety protocols, and coordination commenced immediately with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, and of course the NSIB for investigation, as well as internal safety review being conducted. Although the NSIB preliminary investigation report on the incidents did not find aerodrome facilities or services as part of direct cause or contributory factors to the incident, the management of FAN view every incident or occurrence as a lesson learned and a call to intensify the internal safety oversight. These efforts demonstrate our commitment to safety, efficiency, and compliance to international best practices. As soon as the immediate investigation was done on site of the incident, the runway was handed back to us, and we opened up the runway. I'm also proud to say that the Federal Airport Authority has made significant commitments and progress in the upgrade and maintenance of facilities across our airports. We've also trained very closely a lot of our personnel and ensure that we have competent personnel, as well as established an airport emergency plan. These assist the airports to coordinate and effectively manage rescue operations in the event of aircraft emergencies. It's also worthy of note that in 2024, the Port Harcourt International Airport and the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport were also recognized by the Airport Council International, being ACI, for excellence in airport emergency management and resilience. We have submitted a detailed document of our operational procedures and processes for ensuring safety and efficiency as requested. That includes all the details of our friction test derubberization, as well as runway maintenance programs. I'm happy to answer any questions following this submission. Thank you very much.
NIAMA is responsible for providing air traffic services, including aerodrome control, approach, terminal control, and en-route services in Nigeria. For the Port Harcourt incident, NIAMA, via its aerodrome approach control, monitored the landing of Airpeace through the final approach piece, issued ATC instructions, and coordinated emergency response. Post-incident, NIAMA executed an alerting service and effectively coordinated the runway incursion event with all necessary units, example, firefighting, rescue services, ensuring safe separation with other aircraft in flight, initiated and issued notice for runway closure and reopening of the airport, including surface movement control. After the incident, NIAMA issued a notice
to inform operators of the runway status. Yes. Manage ATS message exchange about the incident, coordinated with all relevant stakeholders via its communication network. This is our responsibility. Throughout the pace of flight, the pilot has not reported to NAMA of any negative situation. So it is the responsibility of NSIB through their preliminary report and the final report, so that we'll be guided accordingly, sir. We don't have much to do as far as this issue is concerned, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, but I'm saying, and all with all honesty, you can see that there is a very big problem. But I don't want to preempt my colleagues, because probably we don't have to talk last. All of them have the right to make their question. But you can see that there is not even look at the now report here. I just call my attention to the level. But no matter what happens, there is a lot to be done. The ministry has to stand up. We have to wake up. I'm going to be honest with you. We are lucky, unlike mid-90, things have been very, very well with our airline system now. But you don't wait until there's a problem or there's a major disaster before we stop. That's one of the essence of this. My colleague will ask questions. We will get things to know. It's airline in Nigeria. You know, the incident that happened, the incident that happened is on Airpeace, and it happened everywhere all over the world. But the reason why we are doing this is that precautions. Get the simple thing, precaution is better than cure. So, can you give us a comment?
Mr. Chairman, I permit me to please stand on the already established protocol for want of time. We, the airline operators of Nigeria, first of all, want to appreciate their committee for taking the initiative to call all that are here to discuss the affairs of Nigeria aviation. Let it be on record, to the best of my knowledge, that this is the first time within the Senate we're having a session with the committee. I want to say that this should be a sign of a good beginning. You've said that this is about the airlines. This is about the aviation industry. I pretty much agree with you. This should not be about Airpeace. And I repeat, this should not be about Airpeace. Discussion of runway is a thing that happens in many parts of the world, by the biggest airlines, by the small airlines, also in Nigeria. There's no doubt about it that in your own function, you decided to, for safety purposes, ask why. So we're glad to be here to discuss why. Therefore, before I continue, you had also said that we need to protect and defend the image of aviation industry in Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, you have to know that for us, the airline operators, for the single fact that we are from Nigeria, is already a bad image. We work 3 times harder than any other operator in any country in the world. We are regulated 3 times tougher than any other operator in any part of the world. If you may not have had it, I'm telling you this for the records. We are not complaining because we are happy. NCA, 3 times what we go through. It may interest you to know that within our employment, we have also captains who fly in other parts of the world. And some occasions when we employ them, captains, our own internal mechanisms, we move them from the left seat to the right seat. So we downgrade them because we do not find them capable enough to fit into our system. It might also interest you that the equipment we use, the fleet, are not made in Nigeria. They are manufactured overseas, and some of them also fly overseas. And but for some known reasons, when they come into Nigeria, some people already start having concern. Therefore, we, the airline operators of Nigeria, is happy with this committee, is happy with the Senate, we're happy with our regulatory agencies, we're happy with the aviation ministry. But we want to place the appeal. Help us to protect the integrity and reputation of Nigeria aviation. Aviation reporting all over the world has rules and procedure. Those rules and procedure are not known to Nigeria. We've had very horrible incidents around the world, unfortunately. And when I listen to the reporting on worldwide television, there's nobody. If you remember the last incident in India, there was nobody that started reporting about casualties, about the numbers. It took many number of days. Those are the rules. But when we have anything simple here in Nigeria, the social media will do the reporting. They will report for NCA, they will report for NSIB, they will write conclusion. And when you read in between the lines, you will see nothing but hate. You see nothing but hate. We are really, really concerned because we work, if you see what goes down before any aircraft takes off or land by Nigerian aviation, it's a lot of work. Airpeace, with a particular reference, is a great pride to Nigeria. When they made the first flight to Gatwick, we were together on that flight. I was on Arise television, and they were celebrating. And I said, if only you know what it takes. If only you know what I know that it takes to make that flight, then your celebration and accolade should be times 10. I'm in a better position to tell you, Mr. Chairman, because we're having an inaugural flight to Ghana on Monday. And now sometimes when I see my team sweating, and sometimes they will shift date, and it's like they're giving up. And I will tell them, look at where you are. Airpeace has gone everywhere. You can't even give me the first flight to Ghana. It's not easy. Airpeace, I do say they are the king of the air. But when people like us from outside see this, it's very simple or easy for any man who is human to say, why are they picking on me? Therefore, if you will place the committee, I am not in any way, it's just a suggestion. If we place the committee, we, the airline operators of Nigeria, will be so happy if this investigation, subsequent reporting, even by the news media who are here, and the write-ups should be about the airline excursion in Nigeria and the safety of Nigeria aviation, and not about Airpeace. If we can just, it will be an appeal for the airline operators of Nigeria. We've had an airline excursion, United Nigeria, some years back, and many other airlines have had. That airport, Port Harcourt Airport, has had many. We are not praying for that. But in all of this, since 2012, we have never had any accident in Nigeria. It's commendable. We give glory to God because we say, like you rightly said, everything about aviation is to reduce minimum risk. There are human factors. There's not about that. But when our pilots make a mistake, Mr. Chairman, if you see a battle going on between the operators and the pilots, we are like cat and mouse. You know, we fight to make sure there are no problems. Okay, I'll make it short. You talk about petitions. Let me seize this opportunity also to request that we treat petitions that come to the National Assembly, to the villa, to the ministry with some caution. In Nigeria, they write petition over everything. Everyone has access with the issue of aviation to every member of National Assembly or even the Senate. We've received petition from someone who wrote that United Nigeria Airline took off when he was praying, that they should have waited for him to finish praying before we take off. We received petition, yeah, I'm rounding up. We received petition from someone. It was the ground handling company. Moved their lock, they were flying to Lagos. We have 2 flights on ground. One was going to Lagos, one was going to Owerri. The ground handling company, instead of taking the bag to Lagos into United Nigeria Line, he took it to our own aircraft going to Owerri. It has nothing to do with United Nigeria. It was inconvenience to the staff, for the traveler, but they wrote a petition that their bag went to Owerri instead of Lagos. I will round up, but on a light note, Mr. Chairman, when we came in here, there were 2 sides of this conference hall. One side was highly decorated with all the goodies. All the goodies. And I asked who is supposed to be there. I found out they are all the agencies and their heads. That we, the airline, should be on the other side. Nothing was there. Even water. This water is an after. Representing the chairman. I thought. But I told them, do you know that there wouldn't have been these agencies or these people without the airlines? True or false, DG? DG confirm now. No be our money. We're making all the money. So on that note, maybe next time, please consider us. Yeah.